Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. No, you're not glitching. It's me. I'm glitching. My name's Sam Maggi, and I'm here today to present a couple easy chocolatey recipes for Valentine's Day. I'm a chef and culinary mentor with Basics Market, and we're going to be making some chocolate truffles and chocolate bark today. These are great for Valentine's Day gifts. So you can make tons of nice chocolatey gifts for all your Valentines and yourself also. Um, if you have any questions as we go along, just type them into the Q&A box, and recipes for this class are available on our Basics Market website, along with many other recipes and classes and skill videos that are available there. So please check that out. So let's get going on this chocolate stuff. So the first recipe we're going to be doing is a chocolate bark. And I was just thinking about this earlier today. Both these recipes are forest related, right? We have the bark and we have the truffles. And for the bark, you'll need 2.5 cups of chocolate chips or chocolate chunks. And this recipe is really neat because it keeps everything vegan. And so we're using vegan chocolate chips. You could do this with any chocolate though. And what this class is really neat, and I love doing this sort of class that is really about technique, and the ingredients you'll find with these two confections. You can really use what you like, and what, you know, if you like different sorts of chocolate, feel free to substitute different chocolates here. But this one is neat because it is vegan, and these are a really delicious vegan chocolate morsel. We're using dark chocolate, and these are available at Basics Market. They're the Enjoy Life brand. They work really well here. So that's what I'm using. Again, though, you could use any sort of chocolate you like. And dark chocolate is nice because it's a little more healthy. It has more of the healthy aspects of chocolate than lighter chocolates that have less percentage of cacao. And that's how chocolate is graded, right? From milk chocolate up to dark chocolate and bitter chocolates. And that's just a percentage of cacao in there. Of course, milk chocolate has the addition of some milk. And there are various sweetness degrees with chocolate. So again, that's a personal taste. So here we're using dark chocolate, and this chocolate bark has a lot of great health benefits because we're using the dark chocolate. And so I'm going to go ahead and put that in a double boiler. Now you could also do this, the melting of the chocolate, in a microwave, and it would take about 2 minutes, full power in your microwave in a glass bowl, and that will also melt your chocolate. Here I'm using the double boiler method, which is classic way to melt some chocolate. And so I simply have some water simmering underneath a heat-proof bowl. And this keeps your chocolate from burning. So there's our chocolate. And now we're going to go ahead and add the avocado oil, a really nice healthy oil. If you don't have avocado oil, any sort of neutral oil will do. So we're talking sunflower oil, canola oil, any oils that don't have a whole lot of flavor coming along with them. And so that's our oil in our chocolate, and you can see it's melting really nicely. And then we have a little bit of vanilla. We're going to add that in. You could add different sorts of extracts here, almond, peppermint, chocolate extract to make it extra chocolatey. Orange extract is really nice. And that's true of both the recipes we're looking at today, the truffles and the bark. You can really flavor them up any way you like. You could also add spices. I mean, to chocolate originated in Mesoamerica, like 4,000 years ago was the first evidence of human consumption of chocolate. And that's the like sort of Mexico now geographically now. And the word chocolate actually means bitter drink. And that's how chocolate was first consumed as a drink. And it was used for medicinal purposes and ritual purposes. So it was very regarded very highly as sort of a medicinal plant. So that's kind of, this chocolate bark is along those lines. This is good medicine. All right, so we just want to really melt the chocolate, and you can see it's coming right along. And I'm using a spatula just sort of to keep it off the sides of the bowl, keep it moving a little bit. But the beautiful thing about the double boiler is you're not going to burn the chocolate, so you don't have to worry about that. And there we go, nice and melty. Okay, so I'm offing the heat on that one. And meanwhile, I'm just going to switch this out towards our next project, which is the truffle. And so I have 2 tablespoons of butter just hanging out there if you're wondering what's going on, and just going to kind of get that melting a little bit. And I am going to add the cream. And again, this is towards the next recipe, so don't, well, actually, I'll just leave that butter for now and we'll concentrate here. I'm confusing myself. I was going to say, don't get confused, but I'm getting confused. Okay, so we have our nice bowl of melted chocolate, and then we can add, put in some additions. So here I have chopped cherries. These are just dried cherries that I bought whole at the market and chopped them up. You could use any kind of dried fruit you like. And so you just add those in. And then here's some slivered almonds, which I didn't do anything to. They're just slivered almonds. Again, any sort of nut or seed, pumpkin seeds would be really, I would like here. Personally, I really like pumpkin seeds. And again, if you did like pumpkin seed and chili, just as a variation, you'd have a real kind of Mesoamerican style chocolate bark. This is really a lovely combination. The almonds and the cherries are beautiful together. A classic. So you just want to coat all that stuff well. Doing the double boiler deal, just simmering, like a nice simmer. It's not a particular temperature, but a low boil to a high simmer. You want that steam going, and then you want a bowl that is just going to be partially submerged. And you want the bottom of the bowl touching the water, because that is what's going to give you the nice even heat and really heat up that chocolate in a good even manner. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to spread the chocolate out on a sheet pan. And this recipe fits nicely on sort of, this is like a half sheet pan. Full sheet pan is fine, whatever you got, any sort of flat surface or a flat vehicle for spreading chocolate. And I have a parchment paper now to lift the chocolate out after it sets. So we're just going to go ahead and drop the chocolate onto the parchment. And then of course, there's all the nuts and cherries in there. And spread it around a little bit. So spread chocolate out. And we're just looking for a nice thin, even spread. Here I'm using a spatula for all this. It's a rubber spatula. Heat, heat, and, yeah, you just spread it out to as thin as you like. You can leave it thicker if you like a thicker kind of chocolate arc. Um, and as I mentioned, feel free to experiment different sort of flavors, different nuts, different dried fruits. There are several varieties for Valentine's Day. All right, so that looks good, and if you want, you could make a map of your favorite country or state. Picture a portrait of your grandmother, whatever you like. Okay, so there we got it. We have it. And then now to finish it, I'm going to go ahead and use some hemp hearts. Now these are really neat. And again, these are available in the basics market. It's like a superfood, high in protein and high in omega-3s. And really tasty. Hemp hearts have a really lovely nutty flavor. So we're just going to go ahead and put the hemp hearts all over the top. And this gives it a really interesting look and a little bit of a different texture, as well as a lot of nutrition. So again, you could use a different sort of sort of ground up and get the similar effect. But do try hemp hearts if you're not familiar. They're really nice and tasty and nutritious. So there you go. And again, this is what a bag of hemp hearts is like. These are good for all sorts of baking applications. All right, so we have something like this. Now this can go into in the freezer for an hour or so until it sets, and then pull it out, and then it's good at room temperature, and you can store it for a couple weeks in an airtight container. So I have a finished product here. So this one is set already, and you can see that's what it looks like when it's done. Let's go ahead and break it up. So here's a chocolate magic. So you can see it's nice and thin, and it does, once you start to break it, it does resemble bark. And you just can break it up in any manner you like, or if you want to keep like neat, bar type slices, you can do that too. You could use like a pizza cutter or a big knife and chop it up, but bark is usually kind of rustic like that. So I'm sitting here. Here I just have a little bit of, you can see a few different things here, cocoa powder, some of those vegan dark chocolate bits, and then this is a nice chocolate, bittersweet chocolate. It's really good. So that's chocolate bark. Please feel free to ask any questions. It's really cool and super good. And again, you can use any sort of chocolate you like. It's kind of fun, if there's there's so much chocolate out there, right? And different flavor profiles, you could really make some interesting bark.
All right. On to the next thing. On to the next thing. Now we're going to go ahead and make some truffles. So for the truffles, you're going to use 2 tablespoons of butter. And here I'm using beautiful Lulabelle's butter from Basics Market. We make this stuff from our own cows, which are free-range, organic, happy cows. And the same goes for the cream. I have some lovely Lulabelle's heavy cream that I will be using here. And for these guys, I think we're going to use a half a cup to 1 cup of cream. So you're going to want 1 cup of cream, 2 tablespoons of butter, and give this cream a good shake. All right. So there's a cup of cream, and we're going to have the butter is melted, and we're going to get that nice and hot. And then here I have the chocolate. So what I'm using is 6 ounces of a really like a nice chocolate chunk. And then this is a good baking chocolate. So this is like a semi-sweet chocolate. And semi-sweet chocolate and bittersweet chocolate are actually the same percentage of chocolate and often have the same sweetness. Once in a while, a semi-sweet will be a little sweeter than bittersweet, but generally they're the same thing. So don't worry about bittersweet, semi-sweet. And I just wanted to show, you can mix and match your chocolates. This is a great way if you have some odds and ends like baking chocolate, chocolate bars, things like that, chocolate chips. You can put all those into your truffles or your bark. So again, this is the truffle. So we're using 8 ounces of chocolate. So I have the 6 ounces of the bittersweet chocolate chunks and 2 ounces of a baking chocolate bar. And then we're just warming up the cream and butter, getting it nice and hot. And then we're going to pour it right onto the chocolate in the bowl here and give it a good swirl to melt it. And what this is a ganache. So after chocolate was discovered by Europeans, by Spain in Mexico, it was brought over to Europe in the 1500s and stayed in Spain for some time until you see it in France in the 1600s when there was a marriage of royalty between France and Spain. So there was a gift of chocolate to France. And then chocolate really took off throughout Europe, where France introduced it to Britain, and other European countries discovered the wonders of chocolate, and then really took off in all the amazing ways that chocolate is used today, such a variety of ways, right? Okay, you can see I've got that cream and butter going pretty nice and hot. And I'm just pouring that over the chocolate there. So ganache is a French, it's credited to France, and it's just the chocolate and cream. And it's a great way to use chocolate, like on cakes. You can pour a nice ganache over it, a cake. But here we're going to let it harden a little bit and set. And then we'll make truffles. And so the truffle is a ganache that's just rolled into a ball. And the truffle we're looking at here here's some truffles I made a little bit ago, is like a truffle you find in the forest, the fungus variety of truffle. So you don't have to make these perfect. They should be a little bit lumpy and a little bit rustic. And they, you know, the original truffles, when people first started making them, that was the inspiration, were the truffles that were found in the forest, dug up from the roots of, by the roots of trees and covered with dirt. So that's why we roll the truffle balls in cocoa powder. So again, here you can add flavorings. So you could add orange extract, vanilla, almond, peppermint, a little bit of a liqueur or rum, something like that. Just like a half teaspoon of flavoring will go really nice here. Now with a ganache, you want to stir it until you get a really good sheen, and you can see it's starting to happen here. Get a nice shiny ganache, and it looks like we have a question. Yes.
The recipe calls for like a peppermint oil. Is that the same as extract? Can they use extract? Do we know what the difference is?
Yeah, so the question is, the recipe here calls for peppermint oil. And is extract, could extract be used? And yes, I mean, I would say to me, it denotes the same thing, an oil or an extract. Here, a peppermint extract would work just great. And again, like orange is one of my favorite things an orange extract is one of my favorite things to add to a truffle. I really like the combination of orange and chocolate. Almond is another good one. And you could even, at this stage, you could shave in like some, if you're doing the orange thing, you could shave in some orange peel. You can really add, again, you can add things to the inside of your truffle as well as to the outside. So that's it. With the truffle batter, so to speak, this can just go into the refrigerator. You cover it, put it in the refrigerator for 4 hours. Overnight is a good way to do it. Do it the night before you're planning on rolling your truffles, and then you could even just roll a few, and then keep your truffle bowl in the refrigerator. And you know, when you're ready to make some more, make some more. So I'm going to go ahead and refrigerate this, and then I have some that I did make yesterday, some truffle stuff, and we'll go ahead and roll up a few truffles. So here's a few things that I found to roll my truffles in. I have cocoa powder, and this is just like baking cocoa powder. Again, you can find an infinite varieties of cocoa powder, different dark to light to Dutch process, what have you. It doesn't really matter. Again, it's what you have on hand or what you prefer. I chopped up some of almonds because I had extra almonds from my chocolate bark. And so I just chopped some up, and that'll be nice to roll on the outside. I have here some coconut, and coconut is a nice thing to put on the outside of the truffle. And then here's just a little bit of sparkling sugar, which could be cool. And you know, anything like something you might have laying around for like decorating a cake, something like that, like those little sprinkly things. That would be kind of fun, you know, to give a little color to your truffle. So some tools. You know, a spoon is your simplest way to forming a truffle. And then this is like a melon baller. And this can be handy. And then this is really nice if you have something like this, because it grabs the truffle and then releases it, which is cool. But let's go ahead and we'll start with, everyone probably has a teaspoon laying around, and you can just grab the truffle, and you can see how it's a nice consistency to work with now. And you can have another spoon to kind of pop it off the first spoon, and you can, if you want, you can wear gloves when you do this if you don't want to get your hands really chocolatey. But I am going to go ahead and get my hands a little chocolatey here. And once again, I'm not going for a perfect sphere. I want it to really look like a truffle you might find in the forest if you're lucky, and a delicious truffle, and that's it. It's there. Yes, we have a question.
Actually, I have a suggestion. Somebody said edible glitter would be really fun.
Oh, it's not a question, but a suggestion. And the suggestion is edible glitter, which I'm not familiar with, but it does sound like a party in a truffle for sure. A disco truffle, right? And then the truffle shuffle. Okay, so here's the melon baller, and this is a really deep melon baller. So I don't know, it's a little tough to work with, but it can be worked with. And again, you just need something to pop the truffle out. And then you've got, again, roll that ball to the shape you want it. And some people really do like a perfectly round truffle, and you are welcome to do that. And I was just reminiscing earlier about doing this class live, and how you really saw different personalities come out in the role of a truffle, and some people really like a perfectly round truffle, and that's all right. But you can kind of take it easy on yourself and keep them kind of rough and in the spirit of a truffle. And sometimes I find myself kind of roughing them up a little bit because they come out too perfect, and I just don't want to anger the chocolate gods. Yes, another question.
How long will the ganache hold in the fridge?
The ganache, so the question is, how long will the ganache hold in the fridge? And you have 2 weeks covered in the refrigerator with this. So that was let's see, I've done the coconut, I've done the nuts, and I've done the cocoa powder. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the sparkling sugar. And that will just sweeten it up. So putting a sweet coating on the outside is kind of neat if you're using like a really dark and bitter chocolate. Then you have a nice counterpoint of sweetness. And once again, I can't mention this enough, is use whatever chocolate that you really like, or that you might like to taste in the truffle or the bark, and make it your own. And it's fun to do a variety of rolling rolling material for your truffles, and have some fun with it. And it will make a lovely Valentine's gift. And we have another question. Yes.
Miriam asked about, what about rolling in chocolate? Like, I think that'd be tough. Melted chocolate.
Yeah. So the question is, what about rolling them in more chocolate? And yeah, you can do that. One thing that I've done is use chocolate nibs, which is that like really bitter, unsweetened chocolate. And again, it's just that counterpoint, because if you're using like a semi-sweet for the center, and then if you roll it in something bitter, you get a nice contrast. Melted chocolate, as far you could like dip the truffle in something, you know, even like a melted chocolate or like like more ganache, but it's melted. Although I don't know that that would really make much difference because once it sets, it'll just be like more truffle, right? But you could do, say, dip it in a little bit of white chocolate if you like white chocolate or something like that, and get some cool color and flavor contrast that way. Yeah, and so that's about what I've got for chocolate bark and chocolate truffles. Um, as you can see, it's really quick and easy and super delicious. So have tons of fun with that. We have more classes coming up. Next week, we're going to be looking at soup and make some fresh bread to go with the soup. Um, and then we're going to, the following week, we'll do chili chiles and some homemade tortillas. Then continuing on our sort of, it looks like we're kind of on a Mexican journey here from the chocolate through to a chili chiles, and then we're going to be looking at some enchiladas following that, which is is a dish I really like to make, one of my favorites. And then some knife skills. So please stay tuned. Join us again in the upcoming weeks. And go back and check out the Basics Market website. We have lots of great recipes there. These classes are all recorded and posted. So you can look at any recipes you're interested in that we've done a lot of them as classes. If you have questions, they may be answered there. Or you can watch me attempt to make all kinds of stuff. And check it out. And then we have some stores around the Portland area. So please shop at our Basics Market, one in Hillsdale, one downtown Portland, Lovejoy and 13th Avenue. And then we have a meat market featuring our own meats that we grow on Canyon Road in Beaverton. So check out our markets, buy some chocolate and some hemp hearts and some nuts and some nice dried fruits and all this stuff. And of course, the Lulabelle's butter and cream are really excellent. If you like cooking with butter and cream, I would highly recommend these. They're fresh and they're really nice and rich and wonderful to work with. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. And come back again. Happy cooking.